me being here and doing something. Another day of talking about things that need to be talked about. Sometimes, from time to time, we're also doing so. Often it kind of always depends, you know. Of course, if you're really into one thing, then just maybe, is this gonna stop? No, it's not gonna stop. But now it's gonna. Do good. Something that I can always say, if you don't know what to do good at least. It's probably going to be better than anything else one can do. Especially when it comes to times where you do not really know what is the best thing to do, you know, what one should be focusing on, what one should really be putting a lot of effort in. When in doubt, choose something that is going to benefit somebody, where you know 100% that it is going to benefit somebody. Of course, it's, you know, sometimes difficult to say that this, that, or the other thing is for sure. And I do want to point out, for sure, gonna help somebody. But I would argue that we all can come up with something that can help somebody. And so this is also something, by the way, that, it's a message to myself as well. Spending a lot of time here, and have been spending a lot of time recording myself, streaming, podcasting, and so on and so forth. And initially, you know, the whole Werdegang and the whole process of me podcasting and of me pushing out social media stuff, you know, whether it is on Instagram, TikTok, whatever platform it might be, it pretty much in the very beginning started as some sort of a business idea. You know, me being inspired by entrepreneurs, by people that I don't want to say rely on social media, but use social media pretty successfully to grow their business and to just get more clients, to be known, to get famous, whatever it might be. You know, this kind of initially was, and now I did just something really unnecessary. This kind of initially was the reason why I started the whole process. But in the end, I came to the conclusion that, as cool as it is to potentially make some money, amass wealth, and whatever it may be, what about helping others? What about doing something that I know is going to help somebody? And it, by the way, also really heavily depends on how you present that. Maybe the form I'm presenting things, you know, sitting there just talking, is not the best thing to do so. Because I know a lot of people are not going to say that. A lot of people are going to ignore this, even if I'm, you know, talking about something potentially pretty important and also relatively good, you know, pushing out information that is worthwhile knowing, worthwhile listening to. You know, it always depends heavily on how you present it, how you build it, how the viewer basically also sees it. You know, me sitting here, I'm not wearing, you know, fancy clothes. I'm just having a t-shirt on. I am not having a studio. You know, there's nothing fancy in the background. There's no green screen in the background, whatever. It clearly is an amateur video. You know, when it comes to the video production, when it comes to also audio production, I still try to make it as good as I can, but still, it really matters. Also, probably one of the reasons why, it is a factor. It really heavily is. But when in doubt, and this is the main point that I'm willing to make here, when in doubt, do something that is going to benefit somebody. When in doubt, do something that you know is going to be at least be good for somebody. And of course, this can be in so many ways. Of course, me talking about how pissed I am, which kind of was the case with the podcast in the past few days, might be actually good for somebody. I don't know, and I shouldn't judge that. But I would assume and say that one can figure out whether something is valuable to somebody fairly easy, you know, by having a look at analytics. And Well, watching them, analyzing them over time, especially as well, and seeing, okay, these videos do good and the other videos do not good. Value doesn't mean information, doesn't mean knowledge, doesn't mean wisdom, doesn't mean facts. Might just also be entertainment. On the other hand, being a good-looking person, this can also be pretty valuable for some people. People that, well, I would also argue that people like watching good-looking people, period. So if one is a good-looking person, whatever he or she is talking about, it is potentially and theoretically, it's going to do better just because this person looks really good. This person is a good-looking person. I think you can clearly see that on rather fast social media sites in terms of what the content is like, like TikTok, Instagram, and whatnot. There is a pretty heavy basis of people that just really look good. And well, I do not want to say that I do not understand it and that it shouldn't be the case and whatever. No, this is just what it is. It just is what it is. I shouldn't judge that. And even if I judged it, well, does it matter? No, it really doesn't, because I can't change it. I can do something about it. If this is what people do, if this is what people watch, if this is what people want to see, then it is what it is. And this kind of also is the beauty of content and of social media as well. Okay, I see. I can use it. We all can produce content. We all can achieve something and create something of value if we want to do so. Of course, having knowledge in video production / editing and also, well, having talent in speaking, talent in arts, talent in whatever it may be, because to some degree it also depends on how you're presenting things. We all can do something, and we all can just achieve some sort of success in a particular space. We all can do so, fucking period. The people outside there, the people that are watching this, the people that are watching the content in general, the people that are using those social media pages, they are the gateway keepers. And this is an amazing thing, because they can do whatever and they can say whatever. What they want to see is what they want to see, and they decide. The majority of people decides what is being watched, what is being liked, what is being whatever. Of course, on one hand, this might be bad for some people, pretty niche people, that are not going to get a huge audience just because not everyone is interested in red-haired anime girls. Potentially you could actually create a page that is only about red-haired anime girls. You could do so. If it is going to be really successful, well, maybe, maybe there is a fan base for this type of content anyway. So, just in doubt, this is kind of the baseline, the whole point of this speech. Maybe not necessarily of the full video or the full stream, but of this tiny speech. When in doubt, do something that benefits somebody. Because it makes sense. Because it's good. Because even if you maybe are not making a lot of money or are really famous, get kind of everything that you want to have, at least you're helping somebody. At least you're making somebody's life easier or better just by you being there. And this is, I think, an amazing thought. And I think this also just really motivates somebody to put out content, to do something, to create something, because potentially you're not only making your life better by having more opportunities and access in the future, but also you have the possibility and you get the possibility of making somebody's life way better. Just by you doing whatever. This is amazing. This is insane. But of course, it is not easy. There is some sort of commitment that you have to make, that you have to give, and but also patience and a ton of energy and a ton of knowledge and the willingness to why doesn't that work? Does not make any sense. Open recent. There we go. It takes something, it's not for free. Nothing is for free, because it may take time, may also take a bit of money, who knows. Depends, yourself and many other factors, but still nothing is free. But the ROI is fucking incredible. Me talking about some things right now, this could potentially help a lot of people. Kind of, of course, I could do it in a way better way, period. But just the thought alone really satisfies me, This is also one of the reasons why I do like those fast social media sites where you can just upload a video and that is 10 seconds fucking long and you can help somebody really, really, really a lot. This is great. But now I quickly have to... Self-awareness, yeah. Yesterday I was talking about self-awareness, and I still think and really believe in the importance of self-awareness in the phase of, or in terms of, in the context of, well, it being important to know to make sure that you're having as good of a life as you can have. Because it really can do something to you. It really can give you something. It is a pretty cool thing. This is my point, quite. And let's actually see if there's something that I missed out on the past few days. It's, by the way, it kind of also makes sense. So just, Google some things, but having a look at certain sites. Might be Forbes. Let's see what Forbes is talking about. Let's see what they're all about at these points of time. Maybe they're talking about something that is valuable, maybe to you, maybe to me, maybe to somebody else, but also the Psychology Today site. Maybe they're talking about something that is valuable and good to know. The gift of uncertainty. I dislike uncertainty. And I would argue that we all do to some degree full uncertainty. Of course, I would argue that there's some sort of percentage of uncertainty. 100% uncertain, I would argue that nobody quite likes, that quite everything can happen. No, we do want to have some sort of certainty. Maybe not full certainty, maybe not fully knowing what is going to happen, what somebody's going to say, what we are going to do, what the future is going to be like. Of course, I guess, I think that nobody wants to know when we die, or when one dies, which I guess would be full certainty. So I'd say full certainty, not good. Full uncertainty, also not good. Full uncertainty, for example, in when you are going on a trip. I guess you're expecting something. I guess you want to see something rather specific, but specific in a way of, there is a variety of things. There is some sort of a, how should I say it? A variety in terms of, there's a group of things that could happen that you think can happen. But what exactly happens is up to the situation, is up to your position, is up to you, is up to whatever. Just this kind of uncertainty, just not knowing exactly what is going to happen, but you still have a set of answers for your question. And I think this potentially is what people want to have and see and do and whatnot, as it is also kind of the case with being able to decide, having options and free them, which is actually really interesting. But Jordan Peterson, the author, really controversial. I do not want to go into whether I like his stuff or what he does or what he's talking about or not. It is up to you. And this is important to me, to just use certain things, but maybe do not really kind of say, okay, this is very good, unless it is really good and there's facts why it is good and objectively good. But when it comes to people and opinions, it is like, very difficult. Anyway, he was talking about this exact same thing, freedom and us actually not willing to have full freedom. We do want to have choices, we do want to have a certain amount of choices, quite a lot of choices. But still, I would kind of also argue, which is also my point, we all want to have some sort of grid. As in design, having a grid that gives you a certain amount of options. Of course, still really a lot of options, but it's not 100% free, and it's not 100% maybe uncertain therefore as well. Maybe this is why I'm thinking about that all of a fucking sudden. But anyway, how psychological safety can transform your organization. Outside the forensic box, science, language, and thought, 5 ways your ancestral past is messing with your love life. As traumas are also bad, but I have always had a problem with kind of relying, but now in a bad sense, on traumas, past events, whatnot, and them actually being the sole reason, the only reason why you are encountering X, why you're seeing X, why you're doing X, why whatever. I've never actually quite liked that. It kind of gives me a feeling of, well, basically, what is it called? Not having any ability to do something about it. This kind of being suppressed by the whole situation, but it can still do something. Just because something in the past happened doesn't necessarily mean that this is the sole reason or the only reason why this is the case now. It kind of still is a choice that we do. It is a choice for me to be suppressed by something. I'm not trying to work against it. Of course, there is subconscious things and there is some things in our minds that just control us, and we do not really see it and we do not really know it. We all have a blind spot. Some people might be having a really big blind spot, some people a smaller one, but still we all have a blind spot. And I don't know, I do like control and knowing that I have some control and saying, okay, this is my past trauma. I cannot do anything about that. This is not doing any good to me. And I would argue to anyone else as well. If you fully if you fully think that, what did I want to do actually? I don't know. If you fully think that something is due to something, in terms of you can't do anything about that, well, of course, then you can't do anything about that. And this is not a really good position to be in, I'd say. But still. But let's actually see what they are pointing out. Humans evolved in small-scale societies, very different from modern Western culture. This, by the way, is also something. Yes, okay, this is how things were meant to be, and this is not what it is like right now, and therefore we all are messed up. I mean, we are quite adaptable. Of course, a lot of things have changed, and a lot of things were, quote-unquote, intended to be somehow different. Social media per se, well, this is nothing that is natural, it is man-made. And, one could also argue, well, this is not a stressor that we were made for. Yes. But I think abandoning it and being like, okay, I'm just not going to use it, might not be the best approach. I'd always like to say, let's just try to figure out how we can deal with it in a good manner so that we can use this for our own sake, for something good. And I'm saying like, okay, it is entirely bad and I'm just not going to use it because it is bad and we weren't meant to use it. Well, it's not basically going to help me. And also saying, okay, my mental illness is only due to social media might just also be bad. I think it is more or less a way to show us things. Okay, when we are insecure, this is going to be shown, and we're going to see that through social media, using it as some sort of medium to clarity, basically. Well, of course, this might also be too positive. I would say yes. It is not something that we were meant for. A stressor that is something that we were not made for. But still, I mean, trying to gain an ability of, well, just trying to, or actually then being able to use this medium, to use this thing that we think we weren't made for, this probably gives us certain skills and certain attributes that we can use in other life areas as well. And this is then going to really benefit us in the sense of just self-improvement, quite. But of course it's difficult, and of course it's not easy to know how to deal with things, and period. It's not easy. And I don't want to say that it is easy, because it isn't. And it is a fact, I would say. As so many things aren't easy, so many things aren't easy, yeah. So many things aren't easy. Change over time, pulling the rug from under you. Too many people. For one thing, we are surrounded by more people than we could ever build meaningful relationships with. But does it then really matter? Doesn't this also give us an opportunity to just choose those people that we think are gonna be good for us? Because there are so many and we can choose? Isn't this also something good? This can lead to a collection of lots of superficial relationships. Yes, this is kind of actually the case. That can leave people feeling like their friendships are hollow and unsupportive. Well, but this is kind of exactly what I meant before. The whole social media debate of, okay, it is just so bad and whatnot. Well, I can tell myself that it is really bad. Of course, scientifically speaking, there might be some aspects of social media that are just bad, period. But my point is, if I'm saying, because there are so many people, all my friendships are hollow and unsupportive, or I feel like that this is the case, well, then this is due to me. This is due to my ability to make friendships. Of course, it also depends on the other person, because it is always a two-sided thing. But still, for myself, I have friendships that I am grateful for more than I could ever express it. Period. Hands down, this is the case. Just also relationships in the sense of family. My brother, for example. I love this person so much. I really do. Also, some friends, and they know who they are, basically. And, this is putting myself in a space of unableness to do something, and also just making myself believe that. And I wouldn't suggest that to anybody. Of course, facts are facts. If it is scientifically speaking a fact that social media is bad, then, well, it is scientifically spoken bad, period. I can't say anything about that. But being crushed by that weight, I think, isn't a good option either. Just trying to help yourself, I guess, is always good. A seemingly necessary part of any relationship advice forum are those users who urge people they do not know or care about to break up with their partner for any transgression, no matter how small. Well, this is a completely different topic, I'd say. I mean, if somebody, well, there's actually a lot of people that talk about their relationship, whether they should break up with somebody, and just, well, not necessarily just advice on breaking up or not, but just stating the whole situation and what it is like. And there are often really a lot of answers. Some answers are yes, okay, break up because of this and that and these and those reasons. And on the other hand, there is also people saying, okay, do not break up. And very often, unless it is a really one-sided situation, but this could also say something. Of course, people only know a small portion of the whole context of the whole situation. They would have to know everything, but according to this question, this is my answer. And I would say that this is something good, being able to get answers by strangers, being able to get different points of views when you, for example, also do not have somebody to talk to, a therapist, a good friend, family, whatever. This is amazing. A related problem is that large networks of contacts on social media can give people we're not really close to and may never meet a platform to influence our mating. Yeah, just because we're doing so. And we mentally are also giving them that space. And if we don't do so, we don't do so. Relationships can be temporary. Are you someone who dreams of commitment but only finds one-night stands? Related to the too many people problem is the fact that with large numbers of relationships comes the opportunity for people to retain a level of anonymity and to easily come and go from people's lives. Well, this is also very context dependent. In our ancestral past, sexual relationships led to relationships much more regularly, and even when short-term liaisons occurred, our casual partners remained close at hand. Well, of course, it makes sense because our whole group, the whole society that we were living in, were just way less people. And of course, if you're just in a relationship with somebody, this person is probably going to stay in this small circle just because there's nothing else quite. So what should the person do? And well, of course, once again, I could say I'm crushed and suppressed by this fact, and on the other hand, I can use it for my advantage. I can use it for something good, or I can learn to deal with it by understanding it and by knowing it, which by the way is also a good thing about this article. It is talking about things that I may not be talking about or may not even be thinking about, or facts and contexts and parts of society and parts of life that I wouldn't just think about. Too much autonomy. For most of our history, mate choice wasn't a solitary decision. Your family would have got evolved. To some, this might sound like hell. However, forgoing the experience of elders means figuring out who is good for you through trial and error. This comes with its own problems, including attracting and flirting with others, discovering your mate preferences and priorities, figuring out the preferences of your potential suitors, establishing red flags, and learning about what makes two people compatible in a long-term relationship. Drawing upon the experience of others who have your best interests at heart can be a useful shortcut in what is otherwise a steep learning curve. At this point, we don't know what to say. I do not really know what to say about this article. This outside, well, yes, me comparing that might also be a bit superficial, might be a bit bad, but, isn't this what Reddit is also about? Just other people, which this article was about just before, the other paragraph. Other people kind of deciding over your mating behavior. Some sort of also kind of the problem with social media, but in terms of social media, you can actually decide whether this is the case or not. When it is your family and just rules, can you do something about that? Well, you probably can to some degree, but this is probably going to set you up for a disaster in terms of your family abandoning you or just whatever. I guess I'm not knowledgeable in the space of marriage based on my mom saying that I should do that. I guess. Not adulting. For a variety of reasons, children are leaving home, settling down, and having children later and later. There are even terms like growing ups as opposed to grown ups, or failed fledglings, used to describe those who stay at home with parents well into their adulthood. Is this something bad? I don't know. Could be. Depends on how you think about things. The bottom line, there are a lot of things about modern Western societies that are at odds with the types of environments our ancestors lived and thrived in, and these differences have implications for how we seek and form relationships. Knowledge of these differences might give us inspiration for steps we can take to make mating easier, such as using the experience of others to avoid learning through trial and error and looking for long-term partners within our social circles to avoid issues of anonymity. Well, yeah, I think this is actually a pretty good bottom line. We can still learn a lot from things, basically from everything. Anyway, with that being said, I'm going to end the episode here. I wish you the best and hopefully see you soon.